everybody, and welcome to the newest installment of Movie Cinema Film. You may be noticing right now that we are talking on microphones.
Hello.
And this was after a lot of text messages from Leah telling me about the terrible sound quality of our podcast, and we have listened to the critics as critics, and we have installed new microphones.
Yeah. Refined audio.
Yes, but Leah is actually out of town right now.
I'll be
in an
playing the part of
undisclosed
Leah.
location. So
yeah, she's having fun somewhere.
So we actually have a guest host today, a very talented writer and comedian and actress. And producer. She produces as a part of Late Night Hump.
I'm going to get an introduction every time.
Oh yeah, you guys have heard her already. I forgot she's just been on an episode. Give it up for Reena Ezra.
Hi there, folks. Yes, I'm Reena Ezra. Still here, still existing in the world.
So I originally thought that Brendan O'Brien was going to be joining us on this podcast, but he did not really watch a lot of the films. He watched some of the films. I'm sure he has some opinions that you guys could DM him or Facebook message him or text him for.
We definitely have quite a few we recommended to him.
Yeah, for sure.
What he sees, just explaining our feedback and what we were feeling about, because it was a lot of great choices, I must say. The Montclair Film Festival did a wonderful job.
So I think we talked about it a little bit on the podcasts in the past, but for the people who didn't hear those, the Montclair Film Festival did a hybrid where it was half virtual and half drive-in theater.
Yeah.
And the drive-in theater basically had all of their premiere movie events, and some of those films went virtual afterwards, and then there was the virtual cinema, where for most of them, you could unlock them at any time and get them for 24 hours.
And then you get to rate them after on the, we did that on your laptop, yeah.
Yeah, they have an audience award integration on the app. So thank you to the computer nerds on that.
I do like the layout of it. I do like how it was structured and all the categories that they have. I think they did it on the web. They did a great job with that virtually. I think there was, and we didn't have any complications. It was very, very well done. Unfortunately, we did not get to see Nomadland. That is one that I will just say. If we could start out with the ones that we did not see, but that wasn't in drive-in, but you were saying, it was sold out.
Yeah, I've become a little bit of a Chloe Zhao fan, and she's signed on, I think, to do a big franchise film next. Eternals, I think she's directing.
Oh, I did not know that.
You're more of a superhero person than me, right? Do you know what that is?
More, but I wouldn't say a mega fan. I'm not even maybe not even a fan. I know I just watch them, but I don't follow it. So I just have not heard about this one you just spoken about.
Yeah. But she did this little film with Frances McDormand that we were not able to see, but we've heard good things about it.
I just love Frances McDormand.
And we fantasize sometimes about escaping in our little van somewhere far away. So we'll probably have to see Nomadland one day to live that fantasy of van life. Traveling the country.
I do, I go online and I look up the Soho van campers, and they're just beautiful. They're gorgeous, though, how they just remodel them, and then I just I would... Well, like what Kelsey calls me, earthy crunchy, because I was like, yeah, sure, I'll be a hippie for however long, and just take off and we're already plant-based, we're almost there. Let's have an adventure.
Yeah. There were definitely a lot of environmental films that we watched. We watched a lot of socially conscious films.
Yes.
Overall, what was your feeling about the film festival? We obviously we're shooting this on Saturday, October 24th, so we have about a day left to still watch some films. So we're gonna take advantage of our passes, and probably watch some other films that we don't discuss, but we've basically
Sure
seen
thing.
everything that we're going to see.
Yeah, no, we definitely wanted to get there were quite a few feature films I wanted to knock out initially for that we did, and we watched, and then we watched a ton of shorts after, but they have way more shorts, a large shorts collection that I thought, I just did not know it was going to be that big. So there's a lot. That's the thing we were just talking about, though, on the way over here to the office, that we're like, the thing with the movie festival is that you're like, oh man, all the ones that I didn't get to see, like all the ones that I've missed that are probably like gems, or if there's something that was really good that I just like won't know of because you did, yeah, but you know, that happens. Overall, you're asking me my opinion, my feeling on the festival.
Yeah, as a whole, this is my first time doing the Montclair Film Festival.
Yes,
In the past,
mine too.
I've
Yeah.
badly done the New Orleans Film Festival. That was
Yeah,
the
but
year
you
that-
also went to Sundance.
Yeah, no, but
You've
I was
done
gonna
great
say, yeah,
festivals.
I did Sundance right, but I did the New Orleans Film Festival poorly. I did not take advantage of my pass. I think I was going through some mental health stuff during that week that I had.
Did you have alcohol as a buddy?
I did have alcohol as a buddy. I did have marijuana as a buddy. It was a break for Tulane as well, so I did not have classes to guide me.
So your priorities were a bit
Yeah, it was
shifted.
It was October 2016, I think. Yeah, October 2016.
Wow, the fall.
A weird time before the world changed and the Orange Man became our president. But yeah, this festival was definitely the festival where I got to watch the most stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I totally love the virtual aspect of it.
Yes.
I was blessed to have a solid, like,
You can just binge.
5 days off over the
Yeah.
course of this festival,
Yeah.
over 2 weeks, because, like, it started before last weekend, so we watched all last weekend, and then I also had this weekend that I was also off to watch some films. It's a good format, and I think it allows a lot of films to be seen in ways they wouldn't be otherwise. I think film festivals are definitely a way to generate income for artists also.
Yep.
Just because people are more likely when they're at home, I think, to do something like this and pay the money, as opposed to like, oh, I have to buy a trip out to Sundance, I have to buy the Airbnb, I have to buy all of my meals when I'm out there.
Convenience goes a long way.
Yeah.
People will definitely pay for convenience, and of course the ease of a process, of ease of the situation, you know, for you to just do this setup or have it, you know, like experience this thing. If it's simple, but it's like packed with goodies.
Yeah, and
why
I feel
not?
like
I'm there.
it's also a fairer process, I think, for the audience awards, because it basically allows people to watch every film if they want to. They could turn off films that aren't of interest and then use their time more efficiently, which, like, I think is a very good thing, as opposed to the awkwardness of having to walk out of a film you don't want to be in.
Well, but here's a counterpoint. Are people's attentions, like, do they grab people's attention enough if you're at home watching a movie as opposed to in a theater?
No, definitely not.
It is a different experience, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think, though, it increases the stakes of the movie watching experience at home to be like, oh, this is a festival. Like, they even have, like, the same guy and the same woman,
Tom.
like, going through before
doing
each
their introduction video, yeah.
doing their introduction
Tom.
video. And yeah, it just makes you feel like, oh, like I'm at something, you know? There's probably a lot of
They had
people
some
who are
Q&As.
definitely more, yeah. And there's definitely a lot of people who are more isolated than we are, who are probably enjoying, like, just seeing Tom's face, like, before each film. They haven't, like, seen Familiarity. They don't have friends that
Yeah.
they've seen. They're trying to keep
Yeah.
inside because of COVID precautions, because everything's kind of going up.
That too, it was very, especially for now being in a global pandemic, it was, I don't think, a waste of time at all to be doing this festival and virtually and just sitting there and watching a bunch of things. I mean, we still go outside and still go out because it's October, so it's beautiful out, but I thought it was a very good use of our time.
Yeah, and also as artists, you always have to be watching the current art from your field and your medium, you know? And if we want to be filmmakers and producers, it's our job to watch a wide range of new films so that we could see what other people are doing, and see how we could kind of innovate in the art. So that's kind of what I love about festivals, is just like seeing new things, new ways that people shoot, new animations, new edits.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of interesting things in that regard.
I mean, unfortunately, the artists don't get to network as much, I'm sure, if it's virtual as opposed to them actually going to a festival physically. So that is one thing. Like, it would have been nice. Oh, I mean, also just the energy of being in person and going through that, right? It is very different. But, again, I mean, there are pros and cons to everything. But this was just, again, I don't think we would see as many films. If it was in virtual, we saw a ton. Like, I don't think we would be, it's like, it was just very, again, it was just very convenient and very simple. And, I mean, I give it 3 thumbs up. If it's out of 3 thumbs. Again, like, I was not disappointed at all.
Yeah.
There are probably just some shorts that I weren't into and didn't thought was that good, but all the feature films that I wanted to see, majority of them, I thought I rated them pretty high.
Yeah, I thought all of the features, for the most part, were high quality. The Montclair Film Festival is not an Academy Award qualifying festival.
Yeah,
so like that means that the shorts are going to be a little bit lower quality, but like still there were some shorts that were good. Yeah, there were some beautifully shot shorts. There were some good shorts that we'll talk about later in the show.
Which MFF, maybe if it grows and grows and grows, and years from now you don't know, it could be a qualifying festival.
It's already like where Reena and I live, like we're even close enough that like people can hang out at our house and like sleep on our couch if they're in that festival. Like Montclair's close enough to us,
close,
you know? Yeah. So it's just beneficial for us and people in New Jersey to watch that festival grow.
Yeah, come crash on our air mattress.
There were definitely a lot of Newark-based films. There were a lot of
things from Jersey.
Other Jersey-based films. Mm-hmm. Montclair State University, it seemed like, had some films. Yeah. It was kind of hard to tell like where the films were coming from at times. Just because the labeling was kind of weird. But nonetheless, a lot of interesting stuff that we will get into now.
Yeah, let's dive in.
So I guess we'll start. Do you want to go in chronological order or that we watch them, or do you want to go in like favorite order and like the things that people need to watch?
Oh, they're probably, well, I would say chronological, but the people.
No, let's do chronological though.
Okay.
I think we should do chronological as best as we can because then if we do that,
memory.
Yeah, and also I think when you're at a festival, you have to make the mad rush for like the marquee films. So like we tried to get Nomadland, it was sold out. It was also a separate thing that you had to pay for separately as well. So like I wasn't in a rush really to get into that. But then after that, there were some films on select nights that if they had more buzz around them, you could only watch them at a specific designated time.
Like Minari.
Yes, I'm going to apologize to the Montclair Film Festival. I bashed them a little hard for not letting me into Minari and saying that they wasted my time. I apologize. I'm just getting that out there publicly. I really respect the Montclair Film Festival. And
is that it? Is there any more you have to say, Jordan?
They let me into Minari.
It's because Jordan wasn't signed in. Because he didn't log into his account. That was it. It's because you made a silly... I was just like sitting there, just like, well, why don't you try this? You were very frustrated, and it's just like, wow, what a simple solution.
No, also I think like when I emailed the lady with the festival...
Oh, you emailed her?
No, because it was way before like the festival started, because they sent an email and they were basically like, oh, like make sure you reserve things ahead of time. And then I tried to reserve my ticket and I didn't understand that it was time sensitive when you could unlock it. But I did reserve it. I just couldn't unlock it yet.
You already had it reserved. That's cool. That's cool.
But yes, Minari, I got to watch. We'll talk about that a little bit later because
Yes.
that was a little bit later in our chronology.
So-
But thank you, Montclair Film Festival, for being cool about Minari. And I am really blessed to have seen that film. So, yeah. The film that shot out to both of us was a film that starred Aubrey Plaza.
Yes. Black Bear.
Black Bear. We didn't really know what to expect with this film. I know I didn't really hear anything about it. I just knew that I was gonna want to watch it because I'm a fan of Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, she did a great job.
But I think that given COVID and given that we are a couple in COVID, I think this was a perfect film to start out our festival with.
Yeah, it was that film where it is a relationship. It is when you work with your partner professionally, which again, that is what we can relate to. It is, I mean, we don't get as bonkers as they did in the film. I don't think we've ever gotten that intense with each other, if we were fighting or on uneasy terms or anything. Great performances by both Aubrey Plaza and who's the lead actor?
Christopher Abbott.
Who I have not seen him in anything before, so this was a first for me. And also the other actress who played opposite Aubrey Plaza.
Sara.
Yeah.
Gadden.
It was a very interesting love story. I'm gonna call it that. We could throw love story in there. Interesting about how actors can be exploited. Because I don't want to reveal anything, but it was just a lot of the actors being, exposed and vulnerable, and it seemed like people, it's just our, mind tricks are we, is what's happening here, stuff that's getting played, because also the way the film was told, laid out, it was in, how do I explain it without not revealing anything?
Well, it just there was a lot of stuff that felt very trippy. There were drugs involved, and I don't know if that had an influence with it, but there were some altered states of reality in this film.
Yeah.
We'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
And you guys will watch it one day.
Yeah.
I don't really know if anybody acquired this film yet.
I would say the perspectives, the point of view, how it was told in two different ways, that I appreciated. And also, I would just say that I'm still not sure how I think about how it was concluded. That's all I'm going to say. And you guys will have to, figure that on your own when you finally watch the film from start to finish and see if you are 100% satisfied. But I was definitely on the roller coaster all the way through beginning, middle, to end, and it was very exciting to watch. I was definitely not bored.
Yeah. And also, another thing about the Montclair Film Festival is it's a late-in-the-year festival. So it is the opportunity for suburban New York and New Jersey people to kind of see things that went to the earlier festivals. So for example, Black Bear was at Sundance. So we got to see a Sundance film without going to Sundance this year.
Which I thought was really cool that Montclair Film Festival has their coordinators. They have their staff or their team people that go out to the other festivals and are able to network, communicate, and bring a film onto their wagon and show it in MFF. I thought that was just really great that they were able to get that film.
Yeah, and that's going to be released December 4th, 2020, I think, unless they are pushing it back for whatever reason. I don't know where it's going to go specifically, but I think it's going to have theater distribution, if that even exists anymore.
Maybe it'll just be drive-in distributions. It's all drive-in theaters.
Yeah, that could be real. I'm down with it. Yeah, this film was definitely a fun film to watch for COVID, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who have been traveling, a lot of people who have been in Airbnb type places, a lot of people who have driven upstate to just like get out of town and like find themselves a little bit. So I think this kind of shows the romance between your work and your vacation, kind of.
Yeah.
And how like you want to love your job, but then if you love your job, then eventually you'll hate your job. And if you like spend too much time with somebody in isolation, then like you start to hate them too because you're getting cabin fever. Yeah. Yeah.
Although we were pretty good. Yeah, well, it was also very interesting to see how this film kind of, it touches on how real life influences your art, right? The art is influenced by the artist, and your just like the complexities or the things that come up in life that you just don't have control over, and like stuff that you're trying to. What was interesting is like when you're trying to make a film and you're trying to catch all these special moments, but you try to make it as grounded, as honest, as genuine as real life, and that is kind of hard. I mean, for me, anytime I'm in a project, it's always anything I catch on camera is never what it is, what it compares to in my head. Like what I have a vision for it, I always feel like I'm never satisfied, and I always recheck the work, and I'm just like, it's still not good enough, it's still not good enough, it's still not good enough. But it's just very interesting with this film where you're just like watching these people, and sometimes you wish you could, just have the cameras rolling when it is just, when you're just going through life, and it is whatever devastation you're going through, or if there's trauma, or if there's just a happy day, or if there's, something joyous or whatever, it's just real, and you're not playing a part. Again, I think they did. Well, also, gosh, there's just like so much I want to say, but I don't want to reveal anything. But just Aubrey Plaza, I would just say, seeing how more diverse she is, and seeing, because the first time I saw her was in Parks and Rec, so it's really, really cool to see her do these other projects, especially when she's in film, and really watch her grow and see what other angles she can play and be like, oh, okay, there's more to you. Oh yeah, I like this.
She has a lot of depth. I feel like
Absolutely.
she's done a lot of good stuff in independent films.
Yes.
Played a lot of like great comedic roles. She's really one of the great character actors of our time.
She's so great about playing like twisted individuals, but somebody who does there is a dark comedy to it.
If she was a man, she would have so much more attention for these acting roles. She would be known as one of the great character actresses.
Well, we don't need that, Jordan, because she can get that being a woman.
No, I know she can. So I'm just saying, like, people talk about, like, she's done, like, comparable stuff to, like, Robert Pattinson and stuff like that.
That's right. They've never been into or
Jared Leto.
They've never
she's
been
done better
in
stuff.
a film together, have they? Right? Aubrey Plaza and Robert Pattinson?
I don't know.
That would be an interesting duo to watch.
Yeah.
Wow.
I feel like the character conversation usually revolves around men. So that's just why I was saying we need to like put her into the conversation.
Yeah, I feel like there is more light being shined on female characters, though. I mean, character actors. I hopefully more and more it just continues. But there are definitely gems out there.
Yeah.
And they just need those opportunities. They need to chase them, find them, and just like grip onto it. Because otherwise, nobody's gonna see you. Nobody's gonna have you on their radar.
Yeah. I don't want to spoil too much, but I will just say this film features the most accurate depiction of a film set that I've ever been on. Yeah. So, like, the film set of
that was also
the 20 aughts, yeah.
It was very fun to watch things that be like, oh, what can go wrong in films? Like, what's happening here? Yeah, that was very fun to watch it. There's always I feel like there's always so many things, more than one thing going on at the same time, so it was entertaining. But there you have it, Black Bear.
That was definitely one of our faves.
Yeah.
So after we watched Black Bear, we made sure we watched another film almost immediately, right?
Yeah. I think we watched 3 in a row the first night.
Yeah, which is how you have to do film
It's
festivals.
like 6 hours.
It is a film festival. You have to
Yeah.
revolve your life around film for those days of that
Exactly.
festival.
It's not a book festival. It's not a puzzle festival. It's not go to the bathroom and pee festival. No, it's film.
We did go to the bathroom and pee a lot during this
We
festival.
did. Also, another great thing about virtual film festivals, you can pause whenever you want. If I want to get up and grab a snack, get some Oreos, I can go do it. If I have to relieve myself, I can go do it. If I want to just play, do my Sudoku while watching a short I'm not that interested in, I can do it. Okay, take it away. Sorry. Next one.
So, we decided to go to another one of our favorite actors.
Yes.
From one of our shared favorite shows, I think, Atlanta.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Um,
That's like such a marker in our personal relationship, which is so funny. Not like anybody needs to know that, but I just love, I love it. It has it's this very special place in my heart just because of the timing I watched it.
But Brian Tyree Henry stars in this film.
Yeah.
As Charles Young.
Do you want to say what the film is?
Yeah, he basically... Didn't I say The Outside Story?
No.
Oh, no. Did I not say it out loud?
Yeah, maybe I missed it.
Maybe not. I don't know.
The Outside Story.
Yeah, The Outside Story
very clever
is
title.
called that because it revolves around Brian Tyree Henry being outside of his apartment.
Yes, yeah.
And his dealing with his life out and about in New York City after a little rocky period with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
He also was playing a video editor, so I definitely related to him on that level.
It was charming. The movie was super charming, super lighthearted, it was funny.
It was a good rom-com, right?
It's
a rom-com?
good.
Is that a rom-com?
It was more of a com than a rom-com for me. It had some spice of rom. Yeah, there's definitely rom in there. So yes, you could, I guess, say rom-com, but it was a lot of just like him. It was just like his journey.
Yeah.
It was just he's also just a great lead. Like he literally was the main dude for the film, and also after watching him in Atlanta, the next thing I saw him in was If Beale Street Could Talk.
Yeah,
and then now
very
seeing him in this,
role.
and again, what a diverse actor! Like it is just very funny. Like you just not funny, but just incredible that you just see these actors and you're just like, wow, you can just be in anything and throw them in anything, and they'll sell it. He did a great job.
One of my biggest regrets is definitely missing out on Lobby Hero. I definitely had an opportunity to see that, which he was starring in that with Michael Cera, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, I effed up. I was very busy at that time working for comedy shows, so I was a little overwhelmed and couldn't really focus on going to theaters because I was focused on other theaters. Which is the funny thing. That's kind of the cool thing about film festivals is like you get to focus on other people's films and like your love of film, because most of the time you're focusing on the work of film and the process of film and the chore of film, which is like sending the emails, calling the people, doing the graphic design, doing the marketing, like writing the scripts, editing, going through tons and tons of footage, which gets boring sometimes. And it's good to get out of your house and experience life. It's good to experience arts that you haven't experienced in a while. Yeah, which I think that's what this film is really about, is just...
and friendships.
Yeah, just like your
definitely
life
about
and your
friendship.
friendships and kind of valuing the good things in life when you can't always have what you want.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get what you need.
I thought it was also clever how many things they came up with. The writers were just like how many things they came up with for him to get involved in when he was outside of his apartment. There's a lot of things that he just like stumbles into. I think is super fun. It's interesting. It's like it's not a mono scene, but it had that aura for me. That as you know what I'm saying? Because like he was in the same. He was outside, but it was just these, only this specific region where his character was based, hanging or whatever. He's hanging out and everything, and it was just like the stuff that he would just get in the middle of. It was, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm just saying I like how they, just how they displayed it, how they wrote it, I thought it was a really good combo.
It was just some good family fun.
Some good family fun. Jordan, Reena, and their invisible cat.
Yeah.
We don't have a pet.
But in general, great film. Check it out. I'll go look it up on the Wikipanion, the Wikipedia page, to let you guys know where you could find it.
Yeah, that's another fun thing is where we had such changes in mood, going from Black Bear, which is very intense drama, some dark comedy, then going to this lighthearted family fun comedy, and then the next film we would talk about later, just very different. I thought it was a very good first day of MFF, seeing like the different work that's out there.
Mm-hmm. Also, I don't know if this film has been acquired yet, so I don't know where it's gonna go. It premiered at Rooftop Films on August 1st. Which they do some interesting film screenings on the top of a roof over the summer in Manhattan, I think,
fun.
Or Brooklyn.
Sounds
I don't know
great.
exactly where it is. Yeah.
Get your projector. Go on that roof.
Yep. So, wow. How wonderful. 2 great films already, 2 great film recommendations. We're doing the Lord's work here. Anything else to say about the film, Reena, before we move on to our final film of our first day?
No, I'm ready to move on.
All right. We ended up seeing the film Freeland.
Yeah. Not
next.
Friedland. Not Jordan Friedland. Freeland. Although, yeah, was this one of your faves, Freeland? Or I don't know what actually your order of your faves is.
I enjoyed this film a lot. I don't know. I don't like to have favorites necessarily, just because they were all.
You'll make a great father one day.
I could see the good in all films, but yeah, Freeland is a film about basically washed up hippies who are getting shut out of the legal pot market. Which I am very familiar with. If you guys don't know, I moonlight as a producer on Get on the Cannabis, which is Ed Fortune.
Beep, beep.
He's running for U.S. Congressman right now in Trenton. If you guys live in Trenton or Mercer County, you could vote for Ed Fortune. But he is a marijuana activist. He was locked up for marijuana and served his time in jail a long time ago, and now he's a felon because of that. And now tons of people are getting rich off of something that he was put in jail for.
It's mind-boggling.
And because of his felony, he is not even allowed, once New Jersey legalizes marijuana this coming November, he will not be allowed to legally have a dispensary. So because of this, he is selling weed like he's white. Because black people and Hispanic people in America have disproportionately been locked up for marijuana, more so than white people. And because of that, white people who have enjoyed weed for years and years and years get to benefit from this legal market now. And white people who have shunned people who smoked weed can now be like, oh, I just had an edible the other day. How wonderful. How nice. But he literally was putting himself in danger, putting himself at risk, for years and years and years. So he is part of the black market, and he prides himself on being a representative from the black market drug dealers, and he challenges people to convict him again because he's there's no way 12 people on a jury are going to find him guilty because he's doing something that tons of other people are allowed to do. He does it naturally. He makes sure his product is good. He's a very good guy to everybody who really talks to him for the most part.
But there are still people in prison for it.
Yes.
And they have these conventions where you have all these white elitists, whoever have money, have all these other companies where they're in the weed biz, and they're making so much money off of it. And it's just
and that's why it's important, if you are a pot smoker, or if you know anybody who's a pot smoker, to be actively vocal about releasing all pot prisoners. I know the Last Prisoner Project is a company, or is a nonprofit that focuses on that.
On the back of our ballot, right?
And then on the back of the ballot,
vote yes.
Well,
mark it yes.
Yeah, you should vote yes. Obviously, it's not a perfect bill.
No, it's not.
Ed Fortune doesn't love the bill, and he is the New Jersey weed man. Yeah. So, like, I am going to also get his opinion out into the world. He is against the bill, but he knows it's probably going to pass. He just doesn't like that it doesn't have home grow in it, and also it doesn't clear his record as being a felon and allow him to get into the legal market, which is what he wants to do. Yeah. He wants everybody to have an easy pathway to get into the legal market. But there are the Caucasian cannabis corporations, as he calls them, which, like, if you guys like what you're listening to right now, he talks about this a lot on Get on the Cannabis. I highly recommend you guys subscribe to it. He's had on professional boxers, professional football players. He's had on professional musicians.
And you find it on Spotify,
Apple, YouTube, Google Play, YouTube, his Instagram, NJ Weedman, his Facebook, NJ Weedman. Yeah, and I just wanted to make sure I got that out of the way, because he is a black man in the cannabis industry who's been affected by unjust laws and racism, and this is a very white story. So I just wanted to get that out first.
Conversation,
yeah. That being said, the film does touch on a lot of very important points that he's talked about a lot.
Yeah, but this point of view in the film is from an older white woman.
Yes.
And she's been, they went to, this is California, and her...
Humboldt County.
And her and a group of kids, when they were younger, because there's some, like, flashbacks in the movie and stuff, but you see that they were doing this for many, many years, and then she's, like, grown much older now, and she's, like, at her older age, and she's still trying to, like, she's just had there's a lot of... I feel when I was watching it, I felt very anxious. I felt very stressed. I felt very upset for her. I felt like there's just a swirl of emotions, because she's also just going through so much, and how difficult the law is making it for her, because now that it's, she didn't have, well, you'll find out, because I won't say specifically, but, stuff that comes up. And she's just mentally torn. Like, things happen. But again, who's the lead actress? Do you know her name? She did
Krisha Fairchild.
I'm saying
she was amazing.
Every actor, I'm like, great job. But she was amazing. She was.
It is true, though. Actors are, like, the I think defining factor of any independent film. Because, like, if your film isn't well acted, then people are going to be like, I don't believe this, and it's going to look like crap. Yeah. But if you deliver a powerful performance, people all of a sudden trust it. They're like, wow, I'm here for a reason, But
I think these films were also special, where they had that great combo of great writing and great performance. And great, and you need that. Obviously, you need every part to be working together well to have a wonderful film. And this was also, again, another beautifully shot film, just wherever they were on location, which they might have shot it in California, but it was just very, also the cinematography, where they put, like, it was just very intriguing.
Yeah, and I think it really showed the contrast of, like, the little guy who specifically kept small because she didn't want to be a big thing. Right. She wanted to just survive. She wanted to be a hippie. She just wanted modest means of life. Like, she just wanted to grow this pot, give it out to people. She shipped some pot out to the East Coast or wherever. Yeah. Like, she just wanted a very simple life. She wasn't trying to be greedy at any time. Like, it was never about that.
Yeah, it wasn't. That's an interesting point, where she was not an evil character. She was not a bad person, I don't think. I think there was some... She's just human. She's just, it's just like you don't live in that world anymore where you can be low key and do things on your own pace and have like be off the grid, be on your own off the be on your own path, and it's just like the system now makes it hard. It makes it very hard, and they will shut you down. And it was just like, I feel like her character is just, I mean, I probably would have broken down. Like, I would have, like, it's also something, it's just anybody who, if you've given your life, you've that many years of your life dedicated to something that you really believe in and you really enjoy doing, and then what happens if that all just gets, like, crumpled into bits, like.
And anybody who's smoked weed for the past 50 years had to get it from somewhere.
But it's hard work for these farmers too. Like what they're doing on it, it's not easy.
Like they put themselves on the line. They had to be legitimate farmers. Like it's a crop. They have to manage the pH of the soil. Like they have to make sure that it's giving the right effects because it is a drug also, along with being a crop and being a plant. It affects you when you smoke it, like tobacco or something like that. And there is, like, a botany to it. There is a science to it. And then there's a business to it. And then there's a delivery and logistics to it. Yeah. And, like, most people in America are just smoking it, listening to rap music, listening to rock music, punk music, whatever they're listening to in their rooms, pop music, whatever you're listening to.
Or just smoking it and taking a hot shower. Just smoking
a joint, enjoying yourself. But like so many people were on the supply chain to get it there, just like the job that you work every day. There are people who have been doing this every day. And just like you'd be upset when the local bookstore in your town closes, or even like the homeless guy who sells books on your sidewalk on a little towel, and you're like, oh, that guy has a good selection of books always, And then if somebody was to tell him, like, you can't sell these books here, like, you would be kind of sad and be like, why are they kicking him out?
Except it's on a grander scale.
Yeah, it's the grander scale.
It's, it just pops in my head, like, because weed is a business. We know that. But it's just like you were saying, distribution, all these other parts that are involved. I'm just thinking, like, gosh, I wonder when Bezos or Amazon or something is going to now start delivering weed to your, right? Now this is going to be put onto his website, or they have it sold through there, and now they're the ones who are, I don't know.
Well, he already does sell paraphernalia on there, probably. Yeah, and also he creates media content.
Well, yeah, Amazon Studios,
Which Hollywood is literally selling weed by being a place that makes movies because weed makes movies better. So
just the thing is,
like
it comes down to whoever has the more power and money will just eat the other ones up.
Also, if you're high, you're more likely to buy a bunch of shit on Amazon that you don't need.
That's also true!
Yeah, so they want people to smoke weed because then they're going to make more, like, high decisions online where they're like, oh, I should have gotten this. Oh, yeah. So, like, all the Silicon Valley people love weed because people make bad decisions and they're innocent decisions, It's not like alcohol where people, like, beat their family, like, by smoking a lot of weed. Like, you smoke a lot of weed and you fall asleep.
And not everybody, you don't always make bad decisions. I wouldn't call it bad, No,
I'm saying, that's what I'm saying, is like,
Any person
goofy decisions
I've met, they're just chill people, or people who are just, people just need it. Also, just medicinally, like we talked about, like, just for like, people would rather do that, or even if you drink it like a tea, or some people just need this because they have mental illness, or because they have anxiety, or because they are going through PTSD, or they have depression, or something. Like, I would rather have you do take a drug that's from a plant that has not gone through so many chemical processes than taking these other chemical drugs that are run by all these other businesses who are making millions and millions of dollars, and they don't care about your life, they don't care about your livelihood. These guys who are just in the business and selling all these chemical drugs, I'm not for that. I know, I just got off on a tangent, but
yeah, no.
I'm just saying, it's just frustrating. It's just frustrating.
I agree. I think that we are hopefully moving towards a collective consciousness that's talking about the ills of society and the ills of the drug war, and I'm hoping that like people are speaking up in droves. Like we are noticing the issues with criminal justice in general in our country, and how it just criminalizes people and turns them into criminals by over policing them, and turns people into criminals by like creating and fabricating records. And then once you have a criminal record, you can't work, which like in general, like that is a huge issue in our country, is like felons get a criminal record, and then every job requires a background check. So then if you have a criminal record, you never get the job because they're always checking. It's stuff like that like we as a society really have to focus on, and like focus on the rehabilitation of people and bringing them back into society, because like why would anybody ever change if they're not going to be given an opportunity to change? Then they're just going to be bad forever, and then we're just going to live in a world where once people have had their lives ruined once, they just ruin everybody else's lives, you know?
Well, Freeland.
Freeland, what a great film.
And the name too, yeah. Is it a free land? Any more to add on Freeland?
No, just working in the marijuana industry, the cannabis industry. It's just very accurate, I think. Yeah, and I think it definitely is cool, like Reena said, that it highlights the female cannabis industry, because that's also another thing. Like, it's just good to have gender equity in the cannabis industry.
I think there are going to be more and more of these kinds of films made as well. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of the woodwork.
Yeah. I think also a fun thing is just, like, starting to see weed more normalized, where it's not just, like, oh, the college kids smoke weed, like, oh, the so-and-so smoke weed, like, it's just like, oh, yeah, like, randomly, like, somebody who's a business lady just smokes a J, and, like, that's just normal in a movie, and, like, it's not, like, a big thing where, like, there has to be, like, I'm stoned sequence. Like, it's not just like, no, I just, like...
or doing a caricature of people who they think are heads.
It is pretty wild how almost every time somebody smokes weed in a film, they make it like, oh my gosh, like, they did this massive change to themselves, and now their life is going to be different, whoa! But, like, really, like, there's a lot of people who smoke weed every day of their lives, and, like, they use it to sleep, they use it to deal with their PTSD, like they use it to deal with their anxiety. And it just makes them normal. And by smoking weed, they feel more relaxed. So then it's the opposite of, whoa, everything is different. It's more like, oh, I like am not worried about everything that I have to worry about in my life. So I kind of look forward to that, where it is just like more casual and like less seen as an aggressive, like, move to change your life, like, now he smokes weed, and that's, like, a thing. Like, no, it's just like, hey, I'm gonna just go have an edible, cool, and then I think about stuff, because that's my meditation, because, like, I'll think when I have an edible, or something like that, and then it's just like, cool. Word.
So next up.
Do we want to go to the Midnight Shorts? I think that was the next thing we watched.
That was, yes. Sure.
So Reena had never been to a film festival before, so she hasn't experienced firsthand midnight films. But if you haven't been to a film festival, midnight films are usually comedies or horror films.
They're definitely weird.
Yeah, just offbeat stuff. Very like bizarre. There's a lot of negative space, I feel like, in these films. Like, a lot of stuff where you're just like, are people still watching this? Because these films are very much designed for people who have seen a whole day of film festivals. And they might be falling asleep in their chair, and then they wake up and they're like, oh, what's this on the screen? Whoa.
I just have only, I think, a couple to say on Midnight Shorts specifically.
Cool.
I think, is it Your Monster?
Yeah, I think we liked Your Monster.
Your Monster.
By Caroline Lindy.
About a girl and her closet monster, I guess is what it is, who's... I just, and it was just funny. It was just, because again, I don't want to reveal anything, because I don't know, where would you catch Shorts, actually? Where could people find this when it gets, after it's done being passed around? Like, where can they?
I don't know. I guess
maybe
we should just talk about the shorts as like a group of shorts and just like the festival as a whole with the shorts.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
And like we can highlight a couple of things.
Specifically, I like that one and then the deer one. That's all.
Yeah.
But it was just like a father and son thing or whatever, and then this girl with her closet. It was
Dear was directed by Richard C. Jones, if we're going to give him credit.
Yes. It was just very fun to see what people could do with just when letting their imagination go wild. I think that's what it is in Midnight Shorts for me, where it's just like, and even if they have like, I think there was one stop motion. Was that in this one?
I'm not sure. I think it was a different
animation
one.
Was a different short.
Yeah.
It's just entertaining. Yeah, it's just like, oh, what things can you come up? Maybe if you are up at like 2 a.m. or something, what's the idea where you have like these two things and you want to morph them together? And I think, that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I also liked there was an ASMR.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
By Alexandra Serio. I don't know if she was also who the actress was.
Yes,
she was the actress too.
Yes, yeah. She made the film and performed in it. Yeah.
Yeah, she was very good, and it was a very complete film.
Yeah.
Just an interesting concept.
It was a bit thrilling.
Yeah, and like when it comes to short films at festivals, I feel like you have two different types of shorts. You have shorts that are like sketch comedy. Which, like, this was definitely one of those that felt like it was more like, there's just a bit, and, like, you'll get it, and, like, it's gonna flip or something like that, yada yada.
Yeah.
But then there's, like, the other short film that's more like the pretentious drama or something. Where
or environmental.
Well, yeah, but there's docs, too. Yeah,
like,
well, yeah, that's also, like, docs are kind of pretentious. But, like, there are more, like, film festival-y ones, but then also, like, there are some shorts that feel more like they're, like, sketches. And it's cool to have them in there because they're, like, palate cleansers.
Yes. That's a good way to explain it, yeah.
Like, Closet Monster kind of felt like that a little bit, too.
Yeah.
Like, less like it was an art house film and more like it was like, like, let's just do this little joke, right?
Yeah, but it paid off. I mean, sometimes
it's good. That's why it's good for this festival.
It's a good reminder to be like, you're allowed to be goofy. You're allowed to put this stuff on a screen and just see what kind of feedback you get.
Yeah.
So what was after that?
And then I think next we watch documentary shorts?
Which one was... Yes, we did. Docuseries, yes.
Yes.
That was City So Real.
Oh, that's what we did next, actually. City So
Right?
Real.
Oh,
no, you're right.
okay.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, we definitely talk about City So Real.
So this was a 4-part documentary series by Stephen James, who made Hoop Dreams, which is a classic documentary. So I pointed Reena in that direction to watch this.
It was fabulous.
And we also like The Shy.
Oh my gosh, love it.
Like the Lena Waithe show.
Love it.
So it was cool because this is basically what was going on during the first 3 seasons of The Shy. Yeah. In Chicago, yeah. Because this takes place around the 2019 mayoral election, and this election literally decided who was the person who dealt with COVID in Chicago, which is a pretty crazy time in our history.
There were a lot of things I did not know, basically, which I really loved watching it because it was very informative. And there were a lot of mayoral candidates, so many of them who were running in the district. Of course, it talked, it dove into cops, the Black Lives Movement, different communities in North Side and South Side. Like I said, it was very well done, the production. The content was so good. I had to remind myself sometimes that this is a documentary, because it felt scripted, which it wasn't, but they just caught very genuine and honest conversations. One where they were in a black barber shop, another one where they were in a white barber shop, and different groups of guys. There was conversations you felt like a fly in the wall, where you were hearing retired cops discuss certain matters, and watching the candidates go out, and they're talking to camera a lot, and then you're watching them go out and do these debates, it was a culmination of a lot of what was going on in very recent in Chicago. And I would definitely say after any of these, you know, shorts or docuseries, definitely find and watch City So Real.
Yeah, and it's gonna be on National Geographic, I think, or
Ooh,
some kind of network,
really?
maybe PBS or something. So look for that down the road. Yeah, I'd be interested to see how like people who are involved in Chicago politics and like know Chicago intimately thought about the film. But it seemed very in depth. It seemed like there weren't a lot of stones unturned.
They cover a lot. They covered a lot, and they had two artists, right, appear. Can I say who they were? Who backed?
Oh yeah, of course.
They had Chance the Rapper, and right, as if I'm spoiling it. This has already happened.
Yeah, no, it's like real life.
It's in spoilers. This is real life. Yeah, Chance the Rapper, appeared in it because they were covering footage, and also Kanye, because they were oh my God, why am I blanking? Who was the candidate they were endorsing? Alyssa?
No, they were endorsing
The young.
Okay, you're gonna make me go
Yeah,
look this
I am gonna
up.
make you
Damn
look
it!
it up.
I was gonna just get by without naming any of these candidates.
It was just this one in particular because that's who they endorsed. I mean, if you want to list all the candidates.
Well, no, we don't have to list every candidate. Why is Wikipedia City so?
Well, you guys can find it. You can Google it. Maybe this is a cliffhanger for them, so you now have to go see City So Real if you don't know who was endorsed by these gentlemen. Yeah, it was nice to get some specific.
Amara Enya.
Yes, thank you.
So yeah, it was definitely like
yeah,
it showed but it showed it showed like the relationship of like celebrity in these political races. It showed how identity is used in political races and like how candidates will shank their own identity, so to speak. I'm putting up air quotes just to make the race easier for them. It was very cool. Like, if you're a political junkie, like, I feel like this is the most interesting look at like local politics and how things actually work in a very corrupt city. And it also shows you why people like cite Chicago all the time, because there are so many forces going after each other that like Chicago feels like it's always up in the air just because there are so many people fighting to like take the power over.
Also, just get more well-informed. Just be more well-rounded. If you're like, I mean, me, growing up in Jersey all my life, in Bergen County, you know, in a completely different bubble than being in Chicago. So, it's very interesting just to see how other local policies are working. Just who are these other local politicians? Who are these other... What else is going on currently in the news? And I mean, again, that's why I love watching documentary series also, especially these ones that are in episodes where they break down and there's a lot of information in there, because that's a lot of where I get information for. I mean, it's just a great source to get summaries also of these time periods, and it's just like, hey, did you hear about these things? Loosely, you know, pop up on CNN one day or whatever. This is what it's about, and then, especially if it's done really well, that's. I can't say anything more.
Yeah, we were both big fans of it. Look out for it. Who knows? Maybe it'll get nominated for an Academy Award for documentary.
It should get nominated for something. It should definitely be on people's radar more. But again, see, like MFF, they got good stuff. They definitely got, I mean, not like I had low expectations. I just didn't know what to expect. Again, my first film festival, and I never went to Montclair Film Festival before. This one in particular. So it was, and it's like the fact that it's so close, and I'm just like, wow, Montclair, you guys did this. Like, really, really appreciate it. All right.
Sorry, my mom's texting. My mom's probably going to listen to this podcast later. Stop texting me. I'm in the middle of a podcast. I just talked to you yesterday.
Now she's going to hear her own shout out.
Yeah, I know.
Mrs. Freed.
All right. So
after City So Real. where
I think we did the documentary shorts before City So Real. I'm not positive. But whatever. We're going to do the documentary shorts right now just to get them out of the way because, like, I don't think we loved any of these necessarily, but there were some decent small ones that I just wanted to, like...
Highlight. Take it away. The floor is yours.
Yes. All Cats Are Gray in the Dark was very cute. It basically showed the life of a pregnant cat by Las Linda.
It was so cute.
That was a very good film. Feed the Bears was a film that I really liked. Reena didn't love it, but that was directed by Jesse Orrit.
It's a wild animal. Don't feed the bears.
Oh, I loved it. It was so cool.
What else?
Those were my two favorites. The other ones were like... It was interesting to see the artists, but like... in the other ones, but like it was also just like slice of life. They were good. They weren't bad documentary shorts. None of them were really interesting to like the extreme where I was like, oh my gosh, I just learned about something new. There was one doc that was called like White Male Shooter that I was really not like a fan of. I didn't really get it.
Yeah, there's definitely a few where I was just like, I'm not really sure you needed a voice.
Yeah.
I don't really know if you needed this platform, but to each his own. To each his own.
So those were my documentary shorts. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to say.
It is complete. Yeah.
Cool.
You said it all.
And then we also went on to fiction shorts after that, I think. And then we kind of took a break from shorts after we did the fiction shorts.
Yeah, gosh, they had a lot of shorts.
Yeah.
Fiction shorts. Did I like this? I don't remember. I'm trying to remember which one was what were in this one specifically.
So, the Montclair Film Festival caters to a very specific audience. Montclair is very upper class. It's very white. It's very liberal leaning.
Yes.
So by default, a lot of these films were about cheating. A lot of these films were about the gay experience, which was good. There were a lot of queer films.
There were a lot of queer films, and I must say they were very good, and they were definitely touched on things where people don't talk about. I think that they were not just conversations that should be had. And again, just be more informed, just so that you know about, like, hey, don't be a smartass. Like, if you don't know anything about this topic, go find out about it. So it was, they were sweet. They were also very sweet. And again, just very raw, just very genuine, just very honest.
If we were giving out our award, I think we liked Dirty the most, right?
Yeah.
Did we think that was the most well-done film? That was directed by Matthew Puccini. We liked that film. We thought it was good. Buck was also a decently good film. Mm-hmm. By Elegance Bratton and Javon James. It was like really well done. It was just kind of dark, so I think that's kind of how he felt.
Yeah.
About that one.
Yeah.
And then, did you like Exam? We liked Exam as well.
I did.
That was the Iranian film.
Yeah.
Sonia K. Haddad directed and wrote it with Farnoosh Samadi.
Yeah, which was, I will get into more in depth later, when we talk about the next Iranian film we saw. But this one was, I mean, of course I'm biased because I'm Persian, but I am an Iranian, but this was a good film. You know, again, being in America and the certain freedoms you have, and then you see what young women have to go through when they're in education in Iran. Very different. And I'll just, like, leave it at that. It's just, like, know that you have a lot of luxuries here in America.
Yeah, so, I definitely got a taste of perspective from this film and a lot of the foreign films.
Yeah, come on. We need more female Iranian films, too. Let's go.
Yeah, there was definitely good parody, I think, with, like, male and female directors. I don't know how, like, diverse all the directors were in the film festival, but, like, even as we're going through right now, right, it feels like there's a good mix.
It was a good mix, yes. Yeah. But I'm saying specifically Iran, that's all I'm
yeah.
pointing out. But, yeah, no, overall, MFF definitely did have a good mix of that. Were there other ones in these shorts that we were covering, or? I think
we didn't love Baby Kate. It was a little weird for me, a little too much, a little too dark, I think. But you guys might like it. And Anna, which we didn't love. But it was like a decently done film. I think like all the film...
Is that the girl in the motel?
It was the Russian one.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah.
There's so many, I'm trying to remember.
We weren't blown away by the shorts, so like I don't want to spend too much time on the shorts because like you guys probably won't see them either. Yeah. So we can move on to My Name is Sara. I think that was the next one we watched. Was that it, or did we watch something else?
No, I think you're right.
So
Yeah.
My Name is Sara is a drama by Stephen Orrit. That tells the true life story of Sara Goralnik, a 13-year-old Polish Jew whose entire family was killed by Nazis in the September of 1942. Yeah.
It's a real story.
And I think...
specifically on about this woman's journey, this woman's story. And she was a Polish Jew.
Yes.
And again, because there have been many films covering World War II, the Holocaust.
I'm not gonna lie, as a Jew, like, I'm so burnt out of, like, Nazi films. And, like, Reena really wanted to watch this film, and, like, I was kind of just like, I really don't want to watch this film again.
Which I understand.
I just can't do it again.
I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, gosh, like, I know how... Did you, when you were in high school, when you were in, like, junior or something, they'd make you watch, because they covered, like, the Holocaust period, so for, like, 3 days, we were in the auditorium, 2 or 3 days, and we had to watch, Schindler's List. Did you guys have to do that?
I didn't have to do that.
Yeah, very depressing.
They didn't care about
enlightening us that. Enough, huh?
No, definitely not.
We really care about Jews. So I understand, because again, like I said, it's been done so many times, but this one was a different story. This one I did not know about, and I think it's just because the specifics of this and where the girl was hiding out and the family that she gets involved in, and it's also in Ukraine. Was it?
Or yeah, was also Ukrainian countryside.
Yeah, so, and again, it was a beautiful picture. Like, the visuals were beautiful, and, I mean, yeah, I teared up. Like, I can't help myself. It was emotional, and it did keep me on the edge of my seat because, again, like, I don't know what's going to happen. And, again, just the reminder that, like, holy smokes, somebody actually had to go through this is heavy.
I think it really highlighted...
It was a good watch, though.
I think it also really highlighted well the aspect of living in a fascist place or, like... Yeah. Being in a place where you're not welcome, and just like how much it terrorizes you to be in constant fear, and how like a lot of times beating the fear is just like living your life like normal. Well, and like if you could do that much, if you could survive, that is really all that you need in life. And like it was a really beautiful film, I think. Like
also being in Ukraine, where you have to worry about the Nazis and the Russians, and there were two groups where, because again, it was focusing on this specific family, but you just have threats from everywhere, or you just have people stealing some stuff from you one day. They pop up unexpected, or they come up with no warning. It's just how many times can people be kicked and battered and beat to the ground and force themselves to get back up and be able to continue the next day and be able to fight. Like, it's rough. It is rough. I still can't, like, I'm like, this is our history. This happened.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it doesn't matter how many films you make of it. Like, again, like, I will still watch this because I'm just like, everybody has a story, and every story is different. Everyone's experience is different, and people who like survived, you are superhuman.
Yeah, and even like for us and our backgrounds, like you're Iranian and like
and Iran hates Jews.
No, but yeah, like just to know, like, we both came from places where Jews were not welcome, and like
Yeah.
our ancestors had to be the people to escape in order for
Yes.
us to even exist. You
Yeah,
know?
and us to have the splendid life that we do have, and the
Yeah.
freedoms that we do have, the struggles that they had to go through. So yeah, we
Just
definitely
luck
understand,
that we
yeah.
were the people who were the family that survived whenever. Like, it is crazy to think about this, that like
Yeah.
a lot of Jews in America are products of like one of these people who escaped and like stayed undercover, you know?
Yeah, well, sometimes I feel like it is a combination between luck and smarts, but then again, it's just like, well, sometimes it's just right place, right time.
Oh,
Or
100%.
when you don't make, or when it's the bad side of it, wrong place, wrong time, and then it is just like, yeah, like, just there's some sort of energy out there or something, you know, or a spirit or somebody who was like watching over these people who were able to restart their lives and make their own families after, you know, a tragedy like this. So and the actress, again, another great female lead. Yeah.
Susanna Surui. Surui? I don't know how to pronounce her last
your
name.
Guess is as good as mine.
Well, I was just reading it, so hopefully it's right.
So after that film, what was the next one we played?
So we're getting pretty deep now.
Real deep.
I think we are on to...
Was this Minari or this was in Minari?
Oh, yeah, I think
This was
we were up to Minari, yeah. So, Tuesday night, we had the opportunity to watch Minari. We had to watch it before 8 p.m. and after 7:30 p.m. And started in that time, and we got 2 hours to finish it. And it had been hyped a lot, I think, and for me it delivered for the hype. I hope it gets nominated for an Academy Award and whatnot, like people are saying.
We were getting
Steve
a lot of
Yeun
great Korean
was
films.
amazing.
Yeah, and Steve Yeun representing, and he's getting in a lot of great projects.
Yeah, I think he's
representing
definitely
his
one of the
culture.
gifted actors of our time.
He is.
For
He
sure.
is for sure, yeah.
He's in a lot of my favorite movies, for sure. Sorry to Bother You, specifically. I like him, man.
Yeah. I mean, I always remember him from Walking Dead, because that was when I first saw him, and my sister and I were totally attached to that show. And then we stopped after his... Well, if you haven't watched it by now, I don't care if I'm spoiling it for you, but after he left the show, I'll just call it that. But then just watching any film that he was involved in afterward, yeah, he's a force.
Yeah.
But he's such a gentle force. But it's just so... and Minari is so sweet. Like, the little boy that they have in there. Oh, I just can't. This family in this movie, it is just such... Koreans just have a way to always just toy with my heart. And I just have... I can't do it. I can't deal with it. That's all.
It was a really beautiful film.
It was so beautiful.
Yeah. I think anybody who's, like, didn't grow up in a mansion can relate to this in some regard, you know?
Yeah.
Because, like, anybody who's moved at one
It's
point...
a family starting over.
Yeah, anybody who's, like, family struggled to make enough money, anybody's family who, like, didn't know what opportunity to pick, anybody's family who's had to choose between their personal dream and, like, the success of their family. Like, there's just so many... layers to this film.
Yes. Absolutely.
And like a lot of Korean films, like I feel like it had such a deeper meaning that's like tied with a bow, kind of like Parasite, for sure.
Yeah.
Like there is definitely a message at the end that you're kind of like, yeah.
But Minari was definitely way calmer.
Subtle.
I'm not gonna subtle, thank you. Yeah, just definitely not as intense as Parasite. Parasite is a very different film, but Minari was, because it's based off of the filmmaker's story or something.
Yeah,
his
Lee
family,
Isaac
right,
Chung, I think.
going
is his name.
from California, moving to Arizona, and then the stuff that unfolds from there. But it just the relationships between each family member, and you're just watching their hearts on their sleeve, and them just It was so sweet. It was so sweet. I had nothing but good things to say about Minari.
I just look
Really
forward to
enjoyed
when you guys get to watch it.
Yeah.
Was that A24? I think that was
It was.
A24.
It
So
was.
they'll make sure you guys see it very soon. They'll make sure it gets nominated for the Academy Award. Also, like, this might be the year that we get, like, a very nice Academy Awards because, like, no shitty films were released, really.
We're
Because
never going to see Tenet, though.
we're not going to see Tenet, but, like, it's probably going to be Minari.
Why
It might
did
be
you say
Mank, because that's David Fincher's film.
Oh,
Maybe
yes.
Nomadland gets a nomination. I'm trying to think, but like, there's not a lot of big films this year that people have access to. So maybe we will get like film festival films in the conversation.
I kind of like that. Yeah, I kind of like that the conversation has been, because of COVID, has been forced to change.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good thing. It's opened up new doors, and
Yeah.
it's given people different opportunities. I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Sweet. All
Wow,
right.
we are trucking along, guys. We're gonna keep going strong. Also, another underrated aspect of the Montclair film series that we didn't really get to take any advantage of because we were kind of rushing. They have a lot of panels.
They do.
And like interviews and stuff like
They
that.
do.
A lot of Q&As.
Yes.
So like, if you are less busy than we are, I definitely recommend doing virtual film festivals because there are unlimited things to watch. Like, there's almost not enough for you to fit in your weeks unless, like, you have so much free time.
Yeah. Gotta absorb it all.
Yeah.
Was this what was the film after? There Is No Evil, right?
After Minari, I watched the...
New Jersey Shorts?
I think we watched the New Jersey Shorts. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just gonna give a big shout out in the New Jersey Shorts. I'm gonna give a shout out to Gramercy because I knew the production designer on that one.
Yeah, whoop whoop.
Cheyenne Ford.
Congratulations.
Making a beautiful film and like helping to do the art. That was one of the most beautifully shot films I think in that section.
Indeed, yeah.
We didn't really love these films in general, though, so also, that's what makes it hard, I think.
I can say what I didn't like about it is why would you call it New Jersey Shorts when none of the films were from New Jersey?
Well, this actually, Gramercy did have to do with New Jersey because it was kind of going back and forth between Jersey and Brooklyn, which I do think is a very cool concept.
So not
also.
that one.
Yeah.
We already said we like Gramercy. Maybe it was New Jersey Shorts too, or it was a different collection I was watching where there was so many things that was just like in New York City, in New York City, in New York City, and I'm just like, but you put NJ. This is not Joycey.
But yeah, the films were like fine, but I think a lot of these were like very bland films. They didn't stick out.
They didn't.
That was the issue.
They didn't, yes.
Was like we liked them. Like there's one about an undocumented lawyer, which was like it's interesting and it's really cool and like informative. Lisbeth
Maybe because
Mateo.
it was just too short. Maybe if they put that into a series or something, because that's another ongoing conversation, especially now with what's going on with ICE and undocumented and like the 500, not to be a downer, but the 500 something children we have that are missing. Like that's definitely, I thought that was a great short to put in. So that was fun that they had that. Not fun, the wrong word to use, but that was good that they put that in there.
Yeah, and I think like there's a lot of people who believe that our country is made up of immigrants but aren't willing to fight enough to like protect these people who have lived in our country for so long and protect these undocumented
then the process is long and they make it difficult, and it's people just came here to have a good life just like you.
And a lot of stuff has been like since the world has been digitized, there are a lot of ways in which I think the databases like keep people out or like get people off the rolls and take people off of paperwork.
Yeah.
And mysterious things happen with the digital web, you know?
But also the fact that we had COVID happen definitely probably prolonged the process for some people. But also probably have worked into their benefit of like people weren't able to be deported or kept people here or something, because we were all in lockdown and you were not allowed to fly.
Yeah.
Or leave or travel. You weren't allowed to, transport yourself anywhere.
I feel like I've heard fucked up things from the ICE Center in Newark.
It's so like it's
like people on Twitter share stories about stuff that's happened there, and it's just like,
bad.
Well, what can we do? Like the entire government wants these basically like Nazis, like secret police going around and rounding up people, and there are some Americans who are okay with secret police going around and going to your churches, going to your places of worship, going to your place of work, and taking you away to a cage. Like, people think that's okay in America.
Are ignorant and in their own little bubble and think their actions don't affect anybody else's. It is, what can we do? You can be aware, you can be educated, you can support, you can find, like, you have an entire computer on your phone. Search things. Find out how you can help. There's so many friends who I have who are, again, I'm first generation. Why I say again, I've never said on the show, but I'm first generation. My parents are immigrants. They came from Iran. So many of my friends are first generation. I think there's something when you have, or people, like, my friends whose parents were not from this country, there's something where there's a reason why I have so many of those friends. There's a reason why these people, like, this is a melting pot, and like people have so many friends who are not from America, and like we share certain core values, and there's a commonality between us, and there's just, I don't know, when I just see this stuff happening, it's infuriating, and I feel like it's complete and utter nonsense, and I feel like sometimes people are doing bad just because they can do bad. People are doing evil just because they can do evil. It's wrong. It's wrong, and it's gonna take a lot of hard work to move forward and to change shit, but it's got to be done.
Yes,
we can
indeed.
go on that forever. Yes.
Yeah. There's another kind
take
of
a deep breath.
Like, it was a fine short by Robert Broadhurst. About it was kind of like one of those short, like, oh, you think it's one thing shorts, but then it's another thing shorts.
Pants? No, I'm just
An occurrence at Arvern.
Yeah. Shorts, pants, shorts.
Yeah. Broken Bird was a Jewish story, black Jewish story, which was interesting.
That was interesting. I remember that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, yeah, all of the films were decent. None of them really stuck out for, like, oh my gosh, this film was, like, amazing. But, like, they were all interesting topics, and they all raised awareness about something, which was fun.
But still, like, again, those filmmakers are just like, oh, if this is, like, one of the first things that you've made, that's great. You're starting from here. Their work is only going to get better. So that's the fun, promising thing to see, where it's just like, oh, wow, you guys, there's a lot of talent out there. Out there. I don't know why I said it that way. Okay, so after that, where are we moving on to next?
I think we will move on to, we're getting close to the end, guys, of the movies that we've seen. We'll talk about Test Pattern now. Shatara Michelle Ford's film. This film wasn't bad. It's just like a tough film to watch.
Yeah.
It was about sexual assault and how complicated and unhelpful reporting it is a lot of the times, and how getting resolve is just unhelpful sometimes. Yeah, we don't have a lot to say about this. Like, I'll let you speak for it too.
I think they did. Yeah, I mean, the actors and actresses. Again, it was just tough to watch because it was just. It made me very annoyed with how they were trying to sort through the situation. And again, a woman who just went through a traumatic experience, and people who are not hospitals. There were certain hospitals. Where were they located? Sorry, if you just
Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. Certain hospitals who were not prepared to handle this situation. They went from place to place or whatever, and they didn't have a rape kit, didn't know how to, there weren't people authorized who could, or trained who could perform the entire, check her medically or do this, that, and, it just felt like she was being bounced around, and no one had any regard for the situation she was going through, for the mental state she was in. I mean, the actor who played her boyfriend, he's great. I loved that. I was just like, yes, somebody is taking like, because he's protecting her. Someone is taking control of this. I just it was just, yeah, it just made me very annoyed, where I was just like, is this how this stuff's actually handled? This is so poor.
Yes.
And it's frustrating, and that is the reality of it. Like, yeah, sometimes stuff is handled that way.
And this is
and
also,
that's why it bars people from, no, I'm just going to say, that's why people are in fear of coming out and saying it, or going through it, or they think they could just brush it under the rug, or go, like, again, it's your experience. You can do whatever you want with it. I'm not judging. I'm not saying anyhow people, again, I have never experienced something like this, but not having that proper support, this is how people get away with doing these horrific things, and then the victims suffer for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And just knowing that it's such a brutal process just to report this type of thing, and it shouldn't be. It
should not be.
And it's why you have to, like, believe stories when people tell you
job.
stuff, and, like, listen to people and have the empathy, you know? It doesn't always have to be about retribution necessarily, and, like, what can I do? Like, it really just has to be empathy.
Yeah, that's
at the
a huge
and,
one.
like, trying to get into this person's shoes,
Yes.
who, like, even if you can't, if you think that something seems unbelievable, like, why would somebody make it up, you know?
Yes.
So always just keep your ears and heart open, so that we can fix the bureaucracy. We can get people into these positions who actually care about these things, as opposed to just shrugging it off and being like, oh, you shouldn't have been irresponsible or whatever, which a lot of people just kind of shrug it off and just make it like, it's not my problem, sorry, that's a tough thing, it happens to a lot of people, but, like, not my problem. But, like, if you go through this, you have to deal with it for the rest of your life in a lot of ways, if you don't deal with it in the right way early.
Yes, it stays with you.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Not a bad film, just a hard film to get through.
Yeah. But I'm glad they did make it.
The relationship was good. Yeah, that was what was good about it, was to watch the relationship between people and dealing with such a horrific situation.
I think what I really liked about it was that it wasn't one of those classic ones where they make it overly dramatic and that there's a whole thing, like, they just blow it up into, this seemed very, again, I'm going to say, like, MFF, very real films. It seemed like very, like, oh wow, is this how somebody would actually handle this or go through this if something just occurred to them? Is this, like, just watching them try to, you know, her, you know, the character go through her day. The film didn't get so crazy, you know. I thought it would unravel more, but it didn't, which said a lot, which was very interesting. Yeah, I don't know if I'm being too vague, but again, I don't know, I'm gonna spoil anything in case you guys want to see this one.
Cool.
All right.
Next up.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say next up.
Is this the last one? What else did we have? Oh no, we have a couple more.
No, we're basically getting there. Then we watched There Is No Evil.
Yeah.
This was the other Iranian film.
Yeah, Mama's got a lot to say about this one.
So I'll just let Reena take over.
Oh, okay.
Take a nice little,
I definitely,
Oreo
yum. Not sponsored by Oreos, but if you want to, Oreos, hey, great movie snack. I definitely do want to know what you thought about this film, though, Jordan, because I don't know how many Iranian films you have seen. But There Is No Evil, right? It was like over 2 hours, I think. It was a long film. A movie of many moods. It was like demonstrated in, the film was in like 4 segments, and different characters and different situations that were unrelated.
I think they are interconnected.
I don't think they were in. That's
the description claims they're connected.
What? How? Oh, okay. Well, I see. Okay. I don't think the characters directly know each other, but they were all connected in terms of they were all working. I'm assuming it's Evin Prison. That is the very popular, the biggest, the most, like the dangerous prison in Iran. Oh man, where do I start? Because I want to like pedal back here and be like, okay, well, this is what Iran is. This was a modern film, but I can see that they were interconnected in ways that they were some people that worked as guards for the prison. There were some people, right, had their own there was a father character who has like his own family, and then like what he does for a job. Then there was this couple that it was based off of. Then there was another set of people that was, and they were all connected. They all, I think it all took place. Obviously not, I don't think. I'm sorry guys. I'm trying to like format my sentences. How does one talk? They all took place in Iran, obviously. They were all, you would sometimes see the same places in these different segments of the film, but it would jump from one thing to the next. To each, like there were 4 separate stories. But if you want to watch a long film, all I can say is just stick around for this one. Please just let it breathe. Please just watch this one. What I really do love about watching Iranian films specifically, because I don't know when I will ever get to visit Iran, because like I said, my father's refugee, he was an immigrant, fled to America before 1979, before the revolution, and he's probably on a list somewhere or something, again, because we're Jews, so we are not liked a lot in Iran. We're not, thought very fondly of, because it's a theocratic, it's a theocracy, right? Did I pronounce that right? In Iran, it's run by, the religion, it's Islamic, there's a lot of Iranian Muslims, so on the totem pole, Jews are further down. So, because my last name is Ezra, very Jewish, I probably would not be welcomed. Also because I'm American, and then they hate Americans. But I, don't know when I'll be able to go to Iran. Definitely could not go during Trump's administration. Hopefully that fascist reign and regime will be over. But I really would love to see the country, but the thing about watching a movie like this is you get to see so many beautiful landscapes, so many visuals, so many things you probably wouldn't get to see in this country, and films do give you that microscope. They do give you that, that other, that other lens that you can look through and be like, oh my gosh, wow, I probably would have never even seen what this city looks like, what this village looks like, what this, because of where they shot. Beautifully shot. So just going back to the story, also I feel like this film, I don't know if it's because I'm conditioned with American films, because obviously when you watch a film, it's very, gripping, and there's a lot of risk and everything, but for Iranian films, for me, maybe because it is so real, that I'm just like, oh my god, they would actually get in trouble for this. Like, oh my god, yeah, somebody would actually be kidnapped, taken for this, whatever, thrown in the prison, and most likely die. Like, if you have different thoughts or beliefs, that is illegal. You would be taken, you would be like, there are, again, not the same freedoms you get in Iran as, in America. You get way more luxury, way more freedom here. You have to be very careful when you're in Iran. As a woman, you still have to wear hijab. Even making films, Iranian film industry is huge. There's a lot of money that goes to it. And I had to research this information because there's a lot on how Iranian films get passed, right? How are they approved? That I'm just going to tell you a little bit about. So before you even shoot the film, when you just have your screenplay, right? You have your script, you have to put it across, they have to see it, this censorship board. They have to look at it. If you, let's say, for example, have a scene where a man and a woman are in a bed, that would be taken out. You're not allowed to do that. If you have somebody who's talking against the regime, no way that is ever going to get passed. That film would not be able to be made. They need, their government needs to have that stamp of approval on it. And there are different groups as far as like how these films get produced and how they are financed and how they are supported. If it is like the really big budgeted films, the ones that get the most money are the ones that are financed by the government. They give you the money. People that are backing this who are in very powerful positions. Also, it depends who you know. Because let's say Jordan brought something to the board about like this kind of film and they deny him, yet I have the same exact film idea, it was, you know, similarly the same script or whatever, and they granted me permission. It's because who I know. Stuff like that, where there's so many things that you have to go through. And again, sometimes your films would never even be premiered in Iran. There was one, right, this film in particular, the filmmaker, you said premiered it in, well, not premiered, but he was shown in Berlin, and
yeah,
he's
he won
banned.
an award at Berlin.
He's banned, you said, was that he was banned from Iran, or right, he,
So according to Wikipedia, on March 4th, 2020, he was sentenced to 1 year in prison for his movies, which were considered propaganda against the system.
Yes, exactly.
And then it includes a ban on him making movies for 2 years. And he stated that he intends to appeal the decision and will not turn himself in. And then coronavirus hit. Mm. And Iran, even given how oppressive Iran is at times, they let out 54,000 prisoners.
Wow.
So that coronavirus would not spread.
Well,
so, like, even Iran has that much humanity. America won't even do that to that level.
How insane is that? That America was we're the worst percentage-wise. Look at any of the data statistics doing terribly during this COVID crisis. And even a country like Iran is able to have some humanity. Let prisoners, because they needed to contain that disease. Sometimes I feel like Americans just have head up their asses. They really do.
Well, also, yeah, Iran, like, seems more oppressive to Americans, but also Americans put more people in prison than Iran.
I
think that's
Iranians
true.
put a lot of people in prisons. You'd have to look that up. Again, just because I'm Persian doesn't mean I know everything about Iran.
Wait, I'm gonna check this out. I think America is the capital. I think they arrest the most people.
Go for it. I know the capital of Iran is Tehran. That's all I know. While you're looking that up, though, the other thing I was just gonna say about the film is it is spoken in Farsi. So we watched it with subtitles. I'm never about watching a film when it's dubbed, unless I'm trying to watch a goofy film and make it funny, and if it's not synced right or whatever. But it definitely loses the tone of the film and the delivery line. It's not the same if you don't watch it in the native tongue. And it's so great to hear. I need to watch more films in Farsi because I know very little, and I need to brush up on that.
Wait, Reena, you're gonna want to hear this.
Yes, say it to me.
The United States of America is at the top of the list. Iran is not even anywhere on this list.
Whoa.
I don't know if they were not included.
For what? What list?
Countries with the largest number of prisoners per 100,000 of the national population. The United States is at the top. El Salvador is up there. Turkmenistan, Thailand, Palau, Rwanda, Cuba.
That's an interesting list right there. Wow.
I don't know if that is right. Oh, wait. List of countries by incarceration rate on Wikipedia. Let's do that.
No, you know what? I think you're right. There was a...
Yep.
I went
it is
to...
United
was it
States.
Pennsylvania?
Wow.
The first prison that was in America? Oh, gosh.
Iran is 37th.
I was... Okay. I don't know my reaction to that's supposed to be.
It's not as bad as we thought.
Well,
so
true.
That's good.
I went on a trip with Phoebe and Bina, my pals, my twin and my friend from middle school. We've been friends so long. We went to, oh gosh, you're gonna have to look this up. The first penitentiary in America, and then it had like this huge exhibit outside, and I can't believe I forgot about this, but it did have the most incarcerations by America. And it was just, you're just like, oh wow, yeah, we think America's number one in so many things, and it's just like, we are, but not in things we should be prideful in.
The land of the free.
Yeah.
Where 2 million people rot in prison
as long as you're
until
in
their
your
brains
box.
go to mush and they
true.
come out of prison and have no jobs for them. No other country even has 200,000 people in jail. Oh wait, no, Turkey does and Iran does. Brazil has almost 1 million. But, like, America's just so far and ahead with how many people they have in prison.
We need to get in shape.
Yeah, the next... Okay, let's just go by raw prison population. Legit...
It's one of the most depressing episodes to listen to from your podcast.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%.
Oh.
So, the next...
Grab a box of tissues.
China is 500,000 fewer, almost, than America.
Wow.
And then Brazil is almost 1 million fewer than China.
Wow.
So that is how oppressive the United States and China are, and how much they sell prisons.
That's why we do business together.
Yes. So this is more about the regime, I guess.
There is no evil. Again, very interesting title for the film. Just think about that when you watch it.
Definitely as an American who
so
doesn't
tell
really
me,
know
let
a
me
lot
know.
about Iran.
What are your thoughts?
Definitely anything I've seen about the Middle East in general has just been super depressing and just super
It's not all that
dark. Yeah, no, it has been. It has been. Almost everything's been dark just because that's like how a film gets critical acclaim is like, oh, have you seen this film about this horrible thing? Like, we need to raise awareness about this film. And like, There Is No Evil is probably like the first film I think that's like I've seen from this region that like I was just like, oh, these are just human interactions, and I'm just like watching beautiful cinema, and like I'm just watching beautiful sights, and like there were some of the most beautiful shots I think in the festival in this film.
It's tamer of a film than other films I've seen.
And there were also some of the darkest shots. There were definitely like frames that will stick with you for a while from this film.
So that's the thing. Just when Iranian filmmakers really know how to like stick it for, like they know how to just make it imprinted in your brain. You're just like, you know. It will just be very calm. Some of the scenes that we're watching, and you don't like expect a lot to happen, and then bam, like you're just like, oh my god, and like you're just like, oh, that was heavy, that was a lot, that was like, oh. Also, I just love their music. I love the sound of the films. I love the energy of it. It is fascinating. Of course, I'm biased, but again, I could be an Iranian who doesn't like Iranian films.
This is true.
I definitely love them. So that's my take on it. Yeah.
All right. So I guess we will move on to. I guess I'll talk a little bit about the Montclair State shorts.
Yeah, sure.
If there were any good ones.
Yeah, you watched those.
Starcade was okay. I didn't hate it. It was like a video game relationship. It was well done. Held together. There was a trailer in there that was just odd that there was a trailer. There was a deep fake movie that was very kind of odd and disturbing and weird. Yeah. No, these were college shorts, so like they kind of are what they are. From Montclair. Dirty Sound was kind of one of those sketches because it was like literally just about a Foley artist making sex noises.
Oh yeah. Okay, so that is. I only saw one from this collection. That was the one I. Oh yeah. My god, that was. So
there were a lot of like you could tell that like a lot of these films could have been good, but like they definitely made a lot of like very amateur mistakes in like the script or story. It's just college
humor.
Yeah.
I feel like some of it is just a group of kids just in a circle and be like, oh, what things can we make fun of?
Yeah. There's also another one that Reena and I like. We liked the film, like it was well shot, but it was just like about a like Korean rapper, and like he never raps.
Didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
it was
about how like Koreans should not rap.
Black guys were being like racist and mean toward him, and it was about like Koreans be in your place and you can't rap, and then it ended and he didn't even rap. Like he went down and she's like, oh yeah, like he was in the train station or the subway or something. And like going towards this group of kids who were just like freestyling, and it looked like he was about to join in, and then boom, it just ended. I was like,
Utica F.
What is this? What was this about? Just give up on your passion? I guess.
Corpus Delicti was interesting. That was kind of like an animated film by Charlie Rife. Yeah.
Animation.
Wait, did we like the drummer? The drummer one was just
Wait, remind me, what was
X-Disposer. There's one about a drummer with some mental issues also by Daniel Ferrer.
I don't remember this at all.
I don't know. Yeah, in general, this film was what it was. All these films were what they were. I'm just ready to move on, I
Great
guess.
summation.
They were college films for a reason. Like, I'm sure some of these filmmakers will go on to keep making films.
Anything else before we watch the environmental shorts? Or
No,
is that the
environmental.
Last one?
Oh, we have environmental shorts. Then we have the last two features that we watched.
Oh, right. Gosh, where's my head at?
There were two environmental shorts on the docket.
Yeah.
And Reena was a bio major, so I'll let her take the lead.
What? Well, one, of course, because you got to talk about it, global warming. Yeah, our ice is melting, guys. It's melting. It's a lot of heat. It's going to affect the way you fish. It's going to affect the way you hunt. It's going to affect people like that who actually use that to survive. People who are not in... Where can you please just let me know where the first one took place? Was it one location? They jumped around to
Greenland.
Different locations. Greenland. So, which is, yeah, because I don't know a lot about Greenland. So that was fun.
It all took place in the room of Greenland. It was just one room, Greenland.
I don't get the joke.
The joke is that Greenland is very big.
Cool. I'm sorry. I live with you, Jordan. You know, like, I just...
She is so bored of me. It's hilarious.
Come on. We were locked down 4 months together, and now we work together in an office. Spare me.
No, I've heard her talk a lot, so that's why I brought her on here, so that she could talk to you guys now.
So I can talk more, because you tuned me out. That's good. I do talk a lot. I should talk less. Yeah, so this one was global warming. Interesting to watch, like, how families they're going to survive, or what they're going to do, because people use it, you know, fishing, or people, or, like, business, what they're doing, people living on the ice, literally. Then the other one...
But it was a focus on indigenous hunters and fishers.
Yes, thank you for specifying.
And how they have been displaced the most, because if you're indigenous, that is where you have always been, to your knowledge, you know?
Yeah.
But if you are somebody who is not native to the region, you can move, because that's not where you're from, you know? Yeah. The place that you're in, if you're not from there, is the same as a different place that you're not from, you know? It doesn't really matter, like, either you're a wanderer or you've stayed in the same place since you were born and you've lived there a long time, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think in general, one of the biggest issues we have in the world is just not respecting people's spaces and communities, and not respecting the people who have been there before us, and, like, moving forward as if there weren't ever people before us in places. Like, I think a lot of the issues with gentrification, I think a lot of the issues with just, like, racism in our country in general is just, like, people coming into spaces that aren't theirs and taking it over, as opposed to being like, hello, I like your space, like, would you welcome me into your space if I'm kind to you, and, like, would you let me collaborate with you in your space?
Yeah, I have nothing to add. I was just...
Oh, yeah, no. Sorry.
So, no, I just didn't know if you were wrapping up so I could just move on to the next environmental short.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot we gotta get through, because there were other feature films.
Oh, yeah, sorry. No, but, like, it's just something to consider that this isn't even our land, most of the places that we live. Like, I guess as a Jew and a European guy, like, I don't even know where my native lands would be, like, all over, like, other continents. And I am on borrowed land from stolen lands and whatever.
Who just came to America and just colonized.
Yeah, and it's our job as people who live on stolen lands to try to make the world better, to try to make changes in our lives, to fight climate change, so that these places that we stole aren't completely destroyed, and the people who still do live in their homelands can still have homelands for the future, and we can preserve homelands for people in the future. Because Mars isn't happening quick enough. We are stupid in the world, and everybody's getting disinformation, so I think we are very far away from getting to Mars, but we'll see.
Well, maybe at the end of our lifetime. I don't even know if in our lifetime, but you can grow lettuce on there.
If our children get arrested, they'll colonize Mars, probably.
That'd be fun.
That'll be the labor that will make Mars. Just like
Mars
High Life.
prisons. The second environmental short was, what is it called?
The Toxic Pigs of Fukushima.
In Japan, where there was a nuclear explosion, so then the entire
After an earthquake and tsunami.
Yes, there are a lot of natural disasters over there. I really like how they did that introduction of that film. They started it, and that's how they were, like, showing what... Anyway, if you just see it, like, it was I like how they demonstrated that, Anyway, I totally lost my train of thought. What was I saying? So this is when, after the nuclear explosion, that area people had to evacuate because it became radioactive. And there were all of these wild boars coming down from the mountains, now going into this village. And of course people evacuated, so it just looks totally deserted. Everything is just like, schools left there. There were still shoes and notebooks and papers and desks and people's houses destroyed and this and everything just stuff in a disarray. And then you have these wild boars coming in that are also radioactive poisoning, and there's a guy just going out there, other workers who are out there, because, there's no population there anymore, but the few that are left are there working to just clean up the boars and clean up the what's the word? The residue, or the, like all the other just remnant stuff that's just like left over and trying to like, which they're exposing themselves to the radioactive material, so they will die. Like they're like it's just a matter of when. Like I just thought that was crazy. I was just like, people haven't even fully, like there's some people who stuck around. And nature was just taking the space back. All the vegetation, the trees, everything had just regrown. And it reminded me of when David Attenborough came out on Netflix. You should watch it if you haven't. Life on Our Planet, where he's talking about Chernobyl, right after that had its whole radioactive catastrophe and the explosion, and nature just takes back what's hers. Once people like left the place. The only thing that comes back is, which I thought the stuff seeps into the soil, all the radioactive material. So Jordan, you were going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say that in order to save their native lands, like, people literally have to kill themselves and, like, give themselves radiation until they die in order to sacrifice themselves. Like, they literally are considering themselves kamikaze pilots in a lot of ways, going into these areas to hunt radioactive boars. And normally they would think of boars as being food and being a sign of hope for them that they could get food. And all of those boars are radioactive, so they'd probably be poison anyway for them. So, in general, it's just wild, some of the destruction that we've created. And I guess this leaves open a lot of questions about nuclear energy in the future, nuclear power in the future, because, like, what happens if we have these meltdowns that we can't control? And, like, we'd like to trust that the scientists know how to handle these things and make them safe, but we also can't count on everybody to be at their best every day that they work for the rest of their life, And if you are dealing with something so dangerous like this, you need people to be on at all times, or else you have this catastrophe where there's literally, like, deserted places on our Earth where you can't go, like Chernobyl, where it's just so radioactive that people will never live there until we're at just a different lifetime, almost. Like, it's going to have to grow back for 200 years, and then people will go there once every other place has been burned out, probably, which is the reality of it. So, those were the environmental shorts. We definitely have to vote the orange man out of office.
We're nearing the end.
We are nearing the end.
What features are we?
Well, before we get to our final two features, I think I'm going to give a shout out to the things that I'm going to try to mad dash watch in the next 24 hours or so.
Oh, cool, yeah.
I think I'm going to watch The Australian Dream, which is the story of Adam Goodes, an Aboriginal superstar of the Australian Football League, who stood up against racist abuse. That looks kind of interesting. I'm going to look at The Antidote, possibly. Weaves together stories of everyday people who are making the intentional choice to lift others in powerful ways. I don't know exactly. Maybe not. That seems kind of lame.
That didn't sound enticing.
I want to check out Collective, Crazy Not Insane by Alex Gibney, about a psychologist and a research into the minds of murderers. Down a Dark Stairwell looks good. I'm going to be watching a lot of films, I think, on my laptop in the late hours of the night tonight and tomorrow night.
We all know where Jordan will be. What he'll be doing.
Oh, gosh. There's even, there are so many documentary features on here that we didn't even dip into. There's a Greta Thunberg one. There's a sequel to The New Corporation, which is about capitalism being evil.
Just start it now. We'll
I don't know, yeah.
Watching
Guys, I'm probably going to just legit go home and start watching this immediately. Yeah. So we'll finish this up quickly so that you guys can go, watch.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm going a little crazy.
The features.
Okay. So this morning we got up pretty early to watch a very dark film. It is called Wander Darkly, starring Sienna Miller and Diego Luna. This is probably going to be the easiest film for you guys to see eventually because it has mainstream stars.
Yes. I'm not a huge fan, actually. At the end of the film, yeah, I wasn't a huge fan. I wasn't blown away by it. I feel like it was all over the place, which, yes, it was intentional and what it was meant to be, and, it was, interesting to see the relationship between the boyfriend and girlfriend and the stuff that they were, the insecurities or fears that she was having. But the reveal for us, just keeping us waiting that whole time, and then the real reveal at the end, it did not seem that surprising, and it wasn't that, I wasn't that into it. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I thought the acting performances were good once we got to the end. They all made sense.
Yeah, I don't mind Sienna Miller. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it was definitely more of a non-linear film and
yes,
an altered reality film,
yes,
as Leah and I have talked about on this podcast before.
And I love those kinds of films. Just this one did not give me enough oomph.
Yeah, it was very melodrama at sometimes.
It's just too extra when it didn't need to be. I feel like sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So we can move on from that and talk about our final film that we are going to watch, or that we watched before we got on this damn microphone. All right, your final film that Reena and Jordan watched at the Montclair Film Festival before they made a mad dash to watch as many films as they could in 18 hours.
Is, drumroll,
Us Kids, the Parkland shooting survivors activist doc.
Yeah, I mean, your thoughts on it, Jordan?
I wasn't really gonna watch it, but I feel like there is some buzz around this film for whatever reason because they have garnered a lot of media attention.
Yes.
I've followed pretty closely a lot of this stuff and followed them on Twitter, so I've seen some of this stuff. But I would say the film is still interesting, even if you have kind of followed it. If you haven't followed their rallies and stuff like that and their tour of the country, I would say it's interesting.
You get a closer look at the kids.
Yes.
And again, reminder that these were high schoolers that went through this. And you have these, older people, adults, just coming at them from all angles in the media, trying to make them look terrible, bad, and threatening them, a lot of death threats, and doing this and that. And they're children! They're teenagers! And boy, do they have a lot of courage. They do have a lot of I mean, what can you say? Like, they just went through a crazy experience, one that will be with them the rest of their lives, and they have a voice, and they used a voice, and they monetized, and they organized, and had protests, and went on tour to travel to different places to speak, and a completely different end of their high school experience that they thought obviously they were not going to have, way more involved in politics than they thought they were going to be, put on with, eyes on them constantly, just insane that the hard work, they were constant, they seemed busy, and it was exhausting, it seemed exhausting, and they were just doing so much. And again, it's the continuous conversation, it was on that, like, heavy about NRA, and a continuous conversation on gun control.
And money in politics with the NRA.
Yes, yeah.
Because it's not necessarily that the NRA shouldn't exist. Because, like, it is conceivable that a fan club of rifles could exist, but they shouldn't be influencing the lawmakers so much that they could make it unsafe to live in a country.
Yeah, and that was their point. Like, the kids had to clarify with these other people they were talking to, where they're like, we're not saying no guns. It is a tragedy, truly a tragedy, that it's gotten so normal that we have at least one almost every year that there's a school shooting, or that there's just an issue with guns. Somebody who was, they were casualties, or they were casualties or major injuries, and that's bizarre. That's the world we live in. That's become normal, and then people monopolize on that and make a business out of it, and they're like, oh yeah, guns, and it's like there are these. I mean, nothing that these teenagers were saying when they started this, another revolution, a new movement, nothing they were saying was new. All of this has been said before, but it just we have to continuously bang and bang and bang, like, keep hitting the door until it breaks.
Yeah, and it is so sad that we literally needed a pandemic to happen to curb gun violence a little bit. But then
we needed a pandemic to happen for a lot of people to check themselves in many things.
But then Trump had to make people angry at each other, and police had to keep killing people so that people were protesting.
He did that as soon as he started running.
And then once protesters were in the streets, then the news called it looting, and then everybody was like, I need a gun now because people are looting. Did you hear that? The news said looting. And then all of a sudden everybody was getting guns again. So, like, we just went in the reverse direction, because, like, now that everybody's so isolated, people have probably gotten so many more guns. And, shootings have probably went up during coronavirus in some places.
Interesting is the take the media has on it, because, like, your example with the protests, and people are saying, like, oh, they're seeing people loot and whatever. There were so many, all of New Jersey had peaceful protests.
Yeah.
And, Governor Phil Murphy was very happy about that. He's just like, oh, wow, great, because obviously there's a lot of different commotion going on in New York City, and we're right next door. But again, with, like, how the media covers it, which, I mean, when the movement was still going on, Black Lives Matter, if we're talking about
it is still going on. People are still protesting right now.
Still going on, yes. Right? But people are not covering it. And when they were covering it, it was not the peaceful protesters who were always who were making the ruckus, or who were looting, or who were starting fires. It were these other anti-protest people, basically, these other, groups who were causing trouble, who were not, who were not working with us, and the us being the people who were trying to make a positive change in the society. And the media was an interesting thing with, like, these kids in this documentary, these teenagers, in this very real world, were also having things they were saying be completely misconstrued. And, like, you're super young, and you now have, like, so many cameras on you, everything you're saying is being recorded. It's just it's a different world now, where you literally have to be careful who you trust, if who you have exchanges with. Like, anything you can say can be interpreted and then just cause a whole other mess of a problem. And again, it's just a distraction to keep us from working toward this goal that we want. And is it so hard? Are people really this against, like, do you want to see more shootings happen? Bottom line, do you enjoy this? Is this a good feeling? Because it's terrible.
Unfortunately, a lot of people do, I think, like the feeling of, like, watching the news and, like, feeling bad. Especially, like, people who aren't necessarily happy in their lives, but then they could look at the news and be like, well, at least I'm still alive. Well, at least this wasn't my community with my kids this time. And, like, I don't know. It legit takes people to be confronted with tragedy sometimes for them to make a difference.
Yeah,
and it's just so
true, yes.
appalling that, like, watching all of these kids cry, watching kids cry from Columbine, watching people
Yes.
cry about their
Right.
children from other tragedies,
Right.
watching, like,
Sandy Hook.
live events and, like, the Las Vegas shootings and all of these things. And, like, people
The
could
list
still
goes
be
on.
like, I want a gun. I want to get one of those.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and I guess, like, the issue is people think that there is a protection aspect to it, but, like, you can't get protected if somebody brings a gun to the back of your head and shoots you. You know? Like, when it comes down to it, if somebody sees you first, they can shoot you and kill you. Like, the only way that you can defend yourself with a gun is if you see the threat before it happens, and you have your
Yeah.
gun in position to defend yourself before it happens.
Yeah.
And, like, people don't want to live that way. Why do we want to live in a place that's a war zone? It's not the Wild West. We want to live in a place that people can feel safe walking down the street without feeling like they're going to get mugged.
We need to mature as a society. We still need a lot of growing to do, and I think there are a lot of people who like being, like you said, in their own bubble, who are just, selfish, and if it only has a direct effect on them, then they care. And it's like, just do good. Like wearing a mask. Here's the simplest example that we're going through right now in 2020 and, a global pandemic where it's just like wear a mask because you care for others. Even if you don't know them, you're not related to them, you have nothing to do with them. You're just, you're protecting yourself. Even like, hey, you say you're not experiencing symptoms, maybe you're carrying symptoms. Maybe something happened. Maybe you didn't quarantine. Maybe you're around other people. You're just be nice to other people. And it's not a fucking right. It's just health and safety. It's just literally, you put it on. You can breathe. It's fine. But, yeah, and then, that's a mask, and then people go crazy with an automatic weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
It just feels beaten to death at this point, the topic, but, like, I guess it was good to see a fresh take on, like, kids acting for change, and, like, hope that
I thought it was nice from
the
there to
future
see it from their
generations are
perspective.
Smart.
Yeah, I thought that was a good take to see it from their side, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to our Montclair Film episode. Thank you so much for Reena Ezra being on this podcast with us tonight. Do you have anything that you want to plug?
For having me. I just say LNH Studios, Late Night Hump. What's our comedy troupe doing? Check out our website, latenighthump.com. We got a feature film in the works, a short film in the works, series if you want to see, stuff that's going to be put on YouTube, IGTV, our website. Another podcast coming your way, perhaps. We're a creative brainstorm of magic over here. We like to cook a lot of things up. And check out also if you want to drop into a cat cafe in... Jordan can give you the details for this one, but if you want to do some just, fun improv, that it's just a small group of people, so you are safe, you have your mask, it is mandatory, and if you're looking for something to do, you need that creative outlet, Jordan's a great coach.
Aw,
That's
thanks.
at Cambria's Haven.
Cambria's Haven Cat Cafe, 19 East Westfield Ave in Roselle
Every
Park,
Thursday.
New Jersey. Every
At what
Thursday,
time?
6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Just plan to get there at 5:45 because we like to start at 6. Show your face early so that we know you're going to be there. Other than that, thank you so much, Reena Ezra. If you want to catch me, I will be at Rockin' Joe's on October 30th in some kind of onesie, I think. Also,
Jokes.
also, November, come out to Late Night Hump at New Jersey Weedman's Joint, 322 East State Street in Trenton, New Jersey. It's always a good time there, and after November, we might call it quits for December, just because it's going to be cold as hell, and my car does not have a lot of life left in it.
Don't say that.
No, I jinx
so
it.
much attachment to that car.
I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening.
And have a great Halloween.
We will probably be watching, I don't know, Leah wanted to watch Hubby Halloween, but I don't really want to watch that. I don't know if we're going to watch it. She watched it and she didn't love it, so we'll see if we are doing that. We might do the Trial of the Chicago 7.
Oh, yes, yes.
But, like, just watch some stuff. Follow us on @MovieCinemaFilm on Instagram, @MovieCinemaPhil on Twitter. I'm @JFreeze, JFREEEZE. And you can find us on Apple, Spotify. Tell your friends, subscribe. Please rate us on things. If you've listened this far, you must like it somewhat. Please just give us a rating, give us a review of our reviews. Thank you so much for the Montclair Film Festival, also for being the subject of our podcast. After I shat on you guys for not letting us into Minari and then letting me into Minari.
Well, I loved you guys.
I love you guys.
And we love you guys.
And we love you guys, the listeners. If you guys want to be a guest on this, email us at moviecinemafilmpodcast@gmail.com. Deuces. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.